For the first hour, audiences assumed the RDA returned to Pandora for unobtainium. However, sharp-eyed viewers who paused during the Tolkien hunting sequence noticed a blink-and-you'll-miss-it detail on the vials extracted from the whale's brain. The canister is clearly labeled with a chemical breakdown, but the text reads, "Stops human aging." This isn't just a plot device. It fundamentally changes the villain's motivation. In the first film, they wanted rocks to save Earth's energy grid. In the sequel, the elite just want to live forever while the planet burns. It transforms the RDA from desperate miners into vain, parasitic gods, confirming that the Earth of the 22nd century isn't just resource poor, it is morally bankrupt. In the opening montage, Bridgehead City appears to appear out of nowhere. If you look at the background of the wide shots, specifically the perimeter walls, you see swarms of hexagonal, spider-like robots spraying gray matter. These are autonomous 3D printing swarmbots using local moon dust to manufacture concrete. Production designer Ben Proctor confirmed this technology mimics real-world NASA concepts for Mars habitats. The smoking gun is the speed. The film shows a city built in 1 year that dwarfs the base from the first movie. This confirms the RDA is no longer an expeditionary force. They are an invasive species printing a permanent capital city to replace Earth. The hand signals used by the water tribes aren't random. Linguistic enthusiasts notice the gestures for brother, danger, and hunt are repeated with grammatical precision. This was confirmed to be a fully constructed language created by C.J. Jones, a renowned deaf actor. Jones developed a vocabulary that factors in the Nausica's four-fingered anatomy, meaning a human literally cannot sign it with a perfect accent. This production detail proves the Metkayina culture is as linguistically deep as the forest Nausics, cementing the franchise's dedication to anthropological realism. Spider, the human boy, is desperate to be Nausics. But the most tragic detail is hidden on his face. If you zoom in on his exopack, the glass is heavily scratched and the silicone seal is yellowed. More importantly, the straps are hand-braided with Nausics weaving techniques, not RDA industrial clasps. Costume designer Deborah L. Scott confirmed this was intentional. The RDA refused to supply him with new equipment. He has been maintaining this single mask for over a decade using jungle scraps. This validates the theory that Spider was actively neglected by the remaining humans, forced into the Nausics' life by the apartheid mechanics of his existence. In the climactic battle, the hunter Scoresby loses his arm. Most viewers thought he died, but if you pause during the aftermath, there is a specific shot of Scoresby hitting the water. He doesn't sink. He is clearly shown bobbing in a life vest, clutching the stump, alive. Producer John Landau confirmed Scoresby will return in Avatar 3. This visual framing sets him up to become the franchise's Captain Ahab, a villain fueled not by money, but by a personal vendetta against the whales that took his limb. In the climactic battle, the hunter Scoresby loses his arm. Most viewers thought he died, but if you pause during the aftermath, there is a specific shot of Scoresby hitting the water. He doesn't sink. He is clearly shown bobbing in a life vest, clutching the stump, alive. Producer John Landau confirmed Scoresby will return in Avatar 3. This visual framing sets him up to become the franchise's Captain Ahab, a villain fueled not by money, but by a personal vendetta against the whales that took his limb. Kiri's origin is the film's biggest mystery, but the visual language gives it away. When Kiri connects to the spirit tree, the bioluminescence doesn't just glow, it pulses in rhythm with her heartbeat. In the scene where she visits Grace's avatar tank, the avatar's body is suspended in a crucifix pose, a deliberate religious icon. The VFX breakdown reveals that the energy transfer between Kiri and Eywa uses the same assets as the Tree of Voices. She isn't just using the network, she is the network. This confirms Kiri is a biological avatar of the planetary deity itself, essentially a walking, breathing nervous system of Pandora. At first glance, this detail feels like a mistake. It feels like a moment where the movie magic broke. During the introduction of the Recom unit, the avatars embedded with the memories of deceased Marines, audiences noticed something jarringly familiar. As Lyle Wainfleet and Quaritch strut through the jungle, they are wearing tactical sunglasses that are unmistakably Oakley SIM frames. For many viewers, This triggered an immediate immersion break. The film is set in 2169, a century and a half from now. The idea that a 21st-century sunglasses brand would not only still exist but look exactly the same seemed like lazy costuming or a cynical cash-grab product placement deal. But if you dismiss it as just an ad, you miss one of the darkest pieces of world-building in the entire franchise, according to Avatar: The Way of Water, the visual dictionary. This is not a continuity error. It is a specific lore element known as heritage brands. The lore explains that the RDA, Resources Development Administration, is aware of the psychological strain placed on soldiers stationed light years away from Earth. To maintain morale and a sense of connection to a home that is literally dying, the RDA licenses and manufactures ancient heritage brands for their troops. They aren't shipping Oakleys from Earth. They are 3D printing them on Pandora using licensed schematics from a bygone era. This adds a fascinating layer of psychology to the recoms. Remember, these aren't humans. They are biological constructs loaded with memory drivers. They suffer from intense dysmorphia. They are walking around in the bodies of their enemies, the Gnostics, towering over humans, possessing tails and blue skin. The sunglasses serve a crucial psychological tether. By wearing a recognizable, cool human military brand, they are desperately signaling to themselves and others, I am still a Marine. I am still human. It is a piece of plastic armor protecting their fragile identity. Furthermore, this detail confirms the terrifying resilience of capitalism in James Cameron's universe. The opening of the film explicitly tells us that Earth is dying. The ecosystems have collapsed, and humanity is living in a gray, industrial wasteland. Yet, despite the end of the natural world, the corporation survived. The presence of the Oakley logo implies that even as the air became unbreathable and the oceans boiled, lawyers were still renewing trademarks. Marketing departments were still signing licensing deals. It paints a picture of a human society so consumed by consumerism that even in the face of extinction, they prioritized brand recognition. IT transforms a simple prop into biting satire. The humans arrived on Pandora with the ability to clone consciousness, travel faster than light, and build cities in days, but they brought their consumer habits with them. They didn't learn from destroying Earth. They just franchised the destruction. The Oakley logo isn't just product placement. It is the flag of the invading force, a symbol that the RDA values the image of the past more than the future of the planet. One of the most visually shocking and debated moments in the film's climax occurs when Ronald, the Tsahik of the Metkayina clan, grabs a spear and charges into a full-scale war zone while heavily pregnant. To many modern human viewers, this looked reckless, perhaps even irresponsible. Why would a leader risk the future of her lineage in a firefight? However, dismissing this as a movie stunt ignores the profound biological and spiritual lore established in the art of Avatar: The Way of Water. First, let's look at the production reality. Kate Winslet, who plays Ronald, performed these combat sequences herself, including the underwater maneuvers where she famously held her breath for over 7 minutes. She insisted on portraying the physicality of a pregnant warrior not as a burden, but as a different kind of power. The lore explicitly backs this up. In human culture, pregnancy is treated as a period of fragility where the mother must be protected. But the Metkayina view it as the ultimate state of connection. The visual dictionary confirms that the Metkayina believe the unborn child provides a direct spiritual conduit to Eywa and the ocean itself. Ronald isn't weaker because she is carrying a child. She is spiritually supercharged. The fetus isn't a liability to be protected. It is a second soul fueling her movements. When she rides into battle, she isn't fighting despite her pregnancy. She is fighting because of it. She is utilizing the mother strength mythos not as a metaphor, but as literal canon physics. This moment serves as a sharp, deliberate contrast to the human characters. The humans in the film rely on mechs, metal, and glass to survive. They are fragile and disconnected. Ronald represents the absolute integration of life and death. She proves that in Pandora's biology, the creator and the destroyer can be the exact same person. She isn't fighting for two. She is fighting as two. When the scientist Dr. Garvin is analyzing the Tolkien, the screens in the background don't just show whale songs, they show complex mathematical equations. The holographic display visualizes the Tolkien communication as advanced calculus and geometry. This visual detail supports the film's controversial line that Tolkien are smarter than us. They aren't just singing, they are communicating in higher-order mathematics and philosophy. This makes the hunting scenes infinitely darker. The RDA isn't killing animals. They are murdering a species that has likely solved mathematical problems humanity still doesn't understand.